you buy it. If you don't buy it, it makes you break.
So there's a term for that. What is it called?
Warranty.
But you know what happens? Is that just after the warranty expires, it breaks.
Yeah.
Remarkable, isn't
They
it?
have like a remote, I think, for sure.
Yeah, they do. They zap it.
Yeah.
It's called built-in obsolescence. So you're right. These products are not built to last 20 years. That's the way we used to make products in the 70s. The way they made a car then was like a tank. It was made out of steel. Now, after a couple of years, it starts to fall apart. Phones, forget about it. Like literally within a year, they just like fall apart in your hand. When I first got, now I'm on to my second iPhone, but when I first got, not that long ago, like about a year and a half ago, I got a BlackBerry because the phone I had before that, like literally just, I went into the store, I said, you gotta help me. I'm like holding the pieces. He's like, well, blah, blah, blah. I can't leave here without a phone, okay? Whatever you gotta do, I need a phone, like now. And you know, don't tell me I have to go home and activate it or any of that kind of thing. There's no way I'm leaving here without a phone that's working. So Tanya's right, there's built-in obsolescence. That means it's planned to fall apart, right? It's not meant to be durable. Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's what people still, like, when you purchase things, like when you go to the online people, it's maybe a little more expensive, but when you know what you're buying from them, it was built or something was made the old way, so you know you're getting your money for it. So it really depends on what and where.
Right, that's very true. Yes, Constantine?
You said that as time goes on, with, like in case of iPods, they increase the stuff they put into it to keep the price the same. I know that if you keep building up on the product and more, eventually they cost to produce those things. With every new piece of equipment they put in, it costs money to produce. I mean, it doesn't cost them as much as you're charging per person, but extra 2 cents, extra 2 cents, 2 cents, 2 cents, 2 cents, but the price stays the same. Eventually, the cost for you to manufacture will equal out the price of the product, and then what happens? Then that will exceed the cost, and you're actually losing money.
So what is it that you didn't factor into that equation? There's something that you're leaving out. Is that as the production quantity increases, we're going to achieve, right, Murad said economies of scale. So that means it actually becomes cheaper for us to make the product. So to produce 1 million units is more expensive than to produce 10 million units. So we're operating more efficiently, and we're spreading those fixed costs over more units. If we're producing 1 million units, each of those 1 million units absorbs a certain amount of fixed cost. Well, if we're producing 10 million units, then each unit absorbs a smaller amount of fixed cost. In accounting, that's called fixed cost absorption. So now you're making money. That's why what Mercedes did was smart, because they were able to increase their production quantity and spread those fixed costs under a significantly greater number of units. From a branding standpoint, that was breathtakingly stupid. Right? The cost to do that is not free. It's difficult to measure, but absolutely they've eroded what was that $60 billion brand equity being positioned as a high-end luxury automobile. All right, just a couple of more points about marketing, and then we're going to talk about advertising. Don't worry, I promise you'll be out of here by midnight, all right? Just trust coach, okay? Products can be either low involvement or high involvement. A low involvement product is one that's either a routine purchase or a low cost that we spend very little time in making the decision to purchase the product. So it could be a Snickers bar. It could be a Snapple. Right? We don't think about that in the consumer buying process. There's an influencer, there's the decider, the one who decides what product and brand to purchase. There's the purchaser, and then ultimately the user. For low involvement product, that process is very simple, right? Instantaneously. I'm thirsty. All right, let me get a Pepsi. We're not going to 10 different stores. We're not going through any analysis, right? We bought Pepsi before, we were happy with it, we buy it again. Now there's some products that are high involvement. That means that we spend a lot of time considering the alternatives. It could be because the product is expensive. If it's a car, for example, that might be a high involvement product. A computer could be a high involvement product. Or it's something that has an impact on our image or our social status. So for example, clothing. It doesn't matter if you're buying Dolce or you're buying Banana Republic or you're buying Conway. It could be a high involvement purchase. Now for example, you go into Conway and there's a t-shirt there for $3 and you're there for an hour. You're looking at the color of the t-shirt. You're holding it up to the light to see if it's the same shade of yellow as your contacts. And you're thinking, thanks Anel. The rest of them, they're someplace else. Right? I appreciate that. Right? They're holding up the t-shirt to see if it matches the color of their contacts, or at least complements them. And they're thinking, is it too tight? Or is it too big? For an hour, the t-shirt is $3. That's an example of a high involvement purchase. So it doesn't need to be expensive. It could be. It could be that we're in the car, you're shopping around, you're online, you're researching consumer reports, you're looking at reviews, you're asking friends and family. It could be that it's expensive, but it doesn't need to be. It could be something that impacts our status or our image. So that's the segment on marketing.